Yo, good morning, Bobcats. Welcome back to another episode of Startup Stories. As always, we're coming at you every Wednesday, 9 a.m. sharp. Fresh stories, entrepreneurial insights, all the good stuff. Last week, we sat down with Luke Bowman, who's working on staffing and recruitment programs to help current military service members transition into civilian employment. Some cool stuff, super niche. And it was a very insightful conversation about training pipelines, building partnerships with businesses, and supporting veterans. So if you missed that one, of course, go check it out. Today, I'm super excited to welcome Theo to the podcast, bro.
Hello.
Yeah. So he's working on a super creative concept called Never Eat Slimy Worms, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So what it is it's what I understand is it's a ghost brand that he and his friends are building up from the ground up, and it's not your typical startup. It's more of like a branding experiment where they're combining their skills and seeing where it leads, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, so let's just like dive straight into it. Give me like some background and like tell me how this idea came to you.
Yeah, no, so I have a good friend. I'm sure he'll be on this podcast later, but his name is Sebastian Escalante, and we have this like burning desire, I guess you could say, to like be more than we are right now. And I think it's like a really shared passion with a lot of students here. Yet unfortunately, everyone's waiting for someone to start something. Everyone's
Mhm.
waiting for a project, someone to have like the vigor, I guess you could say, to like actually step out and do something. And we're all waiting for that thing, for that person, for that. And I've started so many things in the past. I've started communities, creator communities, whatever it be. I started a lot of stuff, little brands here and there. Um, but this idea is different from them all. Never eat slimy worms, only because this idea is like you were saying, a ghost brand.
Yeah.
So essentially, a ghost brand, what that is, I forgot the person who came up with the concept, but it's like a non-existent brand, really,
Mhm.
where there's no ties to it. There's no really, if it doesn't make it out or if it doesn't do anything, we still post, and you can check out our Instagram. Put that in, but um, but it's just for us to express our creativity,
Uh-huh.
in a directional way, that we think means something, and that's really what started us with this project.
So what that makes me think of is sort of do you understand like the concept of building, or do you know of the concept of like building Instagram theme pages and like
Yeah.
sort of selling those?
Uh-huh.
And like when people get into it, they're like, "No, you just do it like," or a lot of people do it just as like passion projects. Like they
Yep.
just start posting about whatever theme they like nature and stuff.
Yep.
Is that sort of like what you're doing with the Ghost brand?
That's really similar to what we're doing. Like
Mhm.
my friend Seabass, he's nasty. He gets nasty with the camera, like camera work, coloring, lighting, and things as such. So he's wanting to put his passion into this, and his videos they blow my mind, right? And he's really passionate about capturing, the little things in life, and that's kind of what Never Eat Slimy Worms is about. It's about putting the like a bit more, I would say, like the innocent child that's within us all, putting that more on Instagram and social media and such. It's focused on like the sustainability as well. And that's kind of what we're seeing here with the aesthetic pages. Except only with this one, we already have ideas for, products and selling things, like business model and such, like things as such. So
Mhm.
if it does take off, which we're kind of planning on it, all you need really is consistency, quality of work, direction, but if it does take off and more creators are into this thing, we would love to sell uh merchandise that actually means something, and it's not just something for money or like cash grab, which I think a lot of like startup businesses and things kind of lack. A lot of people
Yeah.
do it like for like money, or there's like this is going to be a quick little thing.
Mhm.
I remember I had this one friend, he started what were the digital art stuff.
Oh, NFTs?
He started this NFT
Mm.
brand, and it was very interesting to see him because he's extremely hard worker, very creative. But Brody sold his soul to get that stuff up. Like,
Really?
yeah, because like he's really creative dude, but it had no meaning behind it other than the fact that he needed some cash, and he sold maybe like two, and it went nowhere. And I think this
Ah.
is what a lot of brands, and this is something that I kind of focus on. This is what we're focused on heavily with Never Eat Slimy Worms, but a lot of brands lack. I compare brands to trees a lot,
Hmm.
and a lot of brands have shallow roots. It's actually a thing called shallow branding. In her book, what's it called? I think it's called like Unknown or something. It's one of these authors, but she talks about shallow branding and how many brands they just focus on the functionality. They focus on the function of the product. But unfortunately, we all live in a society where we have access to everyone got a phone now. Everyone got phone. Everyone got internet. You know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
we all have access to clothes, to the grocery store. Think like my friend was pointing this out. You go to a grocery store, you have options of cheeses, bro. You have different types of cheeses. We got tres leche cheese. We got all these types of cheeses. It's like we don't care about the functionality anymore. What we
Yeah.
care about is brands, and what we care about is products that speak to us on a deeper level, and that's the roots. So this is what this brand is really focused on. It's focused on, and never eat slimy worms. This is how I get the northwest, southeast, or whatever. That's how I know my direction. So it's focused on directionality. It's focused on sustainability, and it's also focusing on that inner child that we often tend to neglect, and it's putting that out on social media, and we're getting a bunch of creators to come and express themselves on there. It's a beautiful thing. So yeah, that's kind of sum up that type of thing that we're doing.
What so first off, what kind of content do you plan on making for this brand?
Right.
What is like the brand about, I guess?
Yeah.
Hmm.
No, so really it's kind of like we're still in the starting phases. We're still in
Yeah.
the very start, right? We're just trying to kick it off. We're trying to see if this is something that actually interests people, We're doing like a bit of like MR market research and stuff, seeing like if this is something that people would actually follow. And what we're seeing is people really do resonate with this neglected part of social media. Like social media nowadays is very fast content. Like I was
Yeah.
doing social media, like you remember that those days I was like posting
Hmm.
on
The
my Insta,
reels.
yeah, the reels.
Oh,
I
every day
Yeah,
I'd just be
literally.
scrolling. There'd be a new thing on my feed.
I would wake up and like for like 3 hours I'd make like some reels. I'd make some content. It was like silly, goofy, funny content. And I felt a pull of myself. That the algorithm it was pulling me in specific ways. Like things would pop off, and it's like, okay, this is the stuff I gotta make. And I completely lost myself. I completely lost myself. And that's what Never Eat Slimy Worms is about. It's about the direction. It's constantly asking the question, where are we going? And
Hmm.
that's kind of why I focus on sustainability, because I see so many brands and they mean nothing. I see so many creators and they stand for nothing. I see so many artists, rappers and things and such. And it's not, I feel like we are like our collective culture is suffering, and that's kind of what this is about. It's kind of putting the little things that we don't focus on. So a lot of like nature type of things where we're us like our friends are just enjoying outside and things as such. Very highly edited content, and I'm open to working with creators and seeing, hey, I have this vision that really aligns with this, coming bringing them in and seeing how it can align with our overall brand. But right now we're just in the starting stage, and we think it's something that we're both passionate about. Me and Seabass, that's his nickname, and I finding a lot of people to be more and more passionate about it. So yeah,
Have you thought about like any sort of strategy? Like I know it's a passion thing,
right,
but of course you're going to be incentivized to like really try to make it work,
yep,
right? Have you thought about maybe uh figuring out a target audience
mm,
first, or like a target demographic, or like a type of content, and then like testing a sort of target demographic,
mhm.
stuff like that, like any strategy?
Yeah, no, I have been thinking about just a bit of the strategy and such. I
Hmm.
think it's very reflective of where I'm at right now. So our target audience would be like college students who really feel this like desperate need to, I guess, represent the little things that aren't really represented. But it being a ghost brand doesn't really, and maybe that's something we should think about. You know what I'm saying? It being a ghost brand doesn't really put pressure on having like this well defined strategy, and that's actually also something I noticed about social media. You will watch 100,000 videos promising they
A
know the
strategy,
algorithm or
yeah.
they know here's the secret sauce, but really the algorithm is it can be. I've done a lot of work with like algorithm and branding and such, and
Hmm.
the algorithm I feel like it can come up with like three things, right? The algorithm, it's based on human psyche, what the people want to watch, right? The algorithm is also based on, social media, like the platform. Their entire incentive is to get people to engage with their app. So
Right.
if you're doing things like sharing content, that's why things that get people really heated, that human psyche, people get really heated, it gets really really big and famous because it's being shared, it's being commented.
Hmm.
I see this thing going on in social media right now. You guys take a look at it on your phones after the podcast video, obviously. But people will go on social media and the memes that are blowing up, all a lot of them have typos in them. It's just something I noticed, just some
Mm.
weird thing I noticed. And I think it's because you have to take another look at it, or people will even text, bro, they have a typo or they have something there. A lot of you put like out of place things in videos. So these are just some sort of things that I know and I'm educated upon. I know like a lot of like branding things, and through this brand, I'm wanting to, I guess, express it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I'm waiting for someone. I'm waiting for something. And I want to show people that you don't gotta wait, that you can go and you can start some right now. And that's kind of what this brand means to me. And I would love for it to mean that to other college students.
When did you get the idea to start this?
Literally, I was I think it was I was trying to get the direction because sometimes it like confuses me, the north, east, southwest. And I know, right?
Okay.
I know. But I'll use like never eat slimy worms. And my homeboy, he was like, "Bro, why do you use that?" Like,
Yeah, I use
it's
soggy waffles, bro.
exactly
Yeah.
right. Like, you use soggy waffles, and I was just like, "Okay, that's interesting. It's very unique to me. I haven't met anyone who says slimy worms." And I was just messing around, and I was just like, "Dude, imagine if." And it always starts with imagine if, right? I
Hmm.
said, "Imagine if there was just like a silly brand that represented this like silly thing, you know? It was like a childish type of thing that you could just chill out with." And I started just going really into the design aspects of the products. Like for example, designing products that are like gummy worm pillows and gummy worm this and a third, and the gummy worms could be these slimy worms. And I found it so easy to just dive into this universe, of creating this brand. And like in a night, I wrote like 5 pages of like this brand work and going in depth, and then I forgot about it. The waves of life took me far, far away from it. I started, from school to working with like this, working with some friends on this branding agency that I'm working
Hmm.
on. It's kind of stressful, to my actual job. I work at the Princeton Review as a campus ambassador, to helping people with their own passion projects. I completely forgot about this thing.
In school, dude.
And school,
Yeah.
and school, and school kids. No, but I completely forgot about this thing, and I came back to it when I was starting my YouTube channel. And it's a YouTube channel, and all I'm trying to start this aesthetic brand, and it's so much work, and
Mhm.
it feels so overwhelming because it's like, oh, I have such a big vision, but it's so hard to express. I lack these really important skills to get this off the ground. And for
Yeah.
some reason, you try to partner with someone, you get super passionate, but then the idea just falls off because again, the ways of life. That's when I was reminded that I made that idea, never eat slimy worms, and it was so easy. And I said to myself, imagine if rather than trying to start this complex personal brand, I started with this first, something that was very easy for me to get across and it was passionate for me right now. I think people really get caught up with the end journey. Like a 1,000 step journey starts with one step. The Chinese proverb or something talks about this long journey. You know what I'm saying?
Right. You eat an elephant one bite at a
You
time.
eat an elephant one bite at a time. And I guess that first bite was starting a brand that I could be consistent on, that I could consistently cultivate the skills for, that I could create a community for. And if that goes anywhere, God's will. But if not, I learned the skills that are necessary to take me to the next step.
Do you ever sort of like struggle with focus? Like because you're doing a market, you're working for a marketing agency, you're doing the Princeton Review, you're trying to start a YouTube channel, and you're trying to do this ghost brand. It just sounds like you're trying to tackle like your focus is very divided.
It feels that way. Like there's this word like a polymath. And
What?
polymath is when you have like a lot of focuses, interests, yet you're good at pretty much all these things, yet unfortunately these things are kind of spread out.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And that's something that I really heavily struggled with. You know what I mean? And that's why, I always find myself taking on so much that I have to limit and prioritize. And it's really hard because people depend on me, or because I oftentimes will feel this like passionate urge to pursue something, yet it's only for a short while. And I have like everyone riled up about it. And I'm like, sorry guys. That urge is like gone.
Mhm.
Fortunately with this has been a couple months journey where I've been like
Yeah.
looking and being around the bush and seeing, okay, is this something that will stick? Is this something that will stick with me and I will want to cultivate more? And sorry. No, I was just gonna say, but yeah, on the focusing my passions and stuff, one thing I saw was that the first step of I feel like it's almost like maturing your path, or like distilling your path. The first step is to say, who do I want to become? Who do I want to become? What type of person do I want to become? What type of things do I want to have? Where do I want to live? Things as such. And you get into the more specifics. And then you bring it back today and you say, what do I got to do?
Mhm.
What type of person do I want to be? And what do I have to be? What do I have to do to be that type of person? And so from this standpoint, I make decisions based upon that. It's my highest ambition. And as I'm growing, it's not so much that my ambitions are changing or that my direction is changing, but it's becoming more focused and it's becoming more aligned, you know? But there's so many times where I will stop walking, I'll stop moving because, of confusion of the path or the purpose. I'm still young, where do I want to go? But I've learned that you have to fall in order to take more steps. You have to fall. And sometimes you're going to take a big step and it's going to feel really big, and you're not going to want to fall because of,
Mhm.
of fear, you know. This job's really good. I'm not trying to risk this thing, or
Right.
this move that I'm making is maybe too ambitious. And ambitious moves are great, but directional moves are even better. But you got to move. You can't just be planning all the time. You got to move. So about the purpose thing, yeah, just see, are these decisions or what I'm focusing my energy on, is this aligning towards my goals? I have a very intense, like, I was showing this girl this one time my schedule. She's like, that is overwhelming. Like, I have a very intense schedule where every action I really wanted to align with. I have, relaxed time,
Mhm.
but I have really ambitious goals. So my relaxed time is on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
Like even now, this is my relaxed time. But yeah, so
I mean, have you thought about maybe integrate I on to me, it sounds like you have very ambitious goals and you're very driven, but doing 4 different things to me sounds so difficult.
right.
Have you thought about maybe integrating them together? Like, so for your personal YouTube channel, sort of have like sort of have a funnel or some sort of connection between that and Never Eat Slimy Worms,
Mhm.
or that stuff in the marketing agency, funnels like that. Have you ever like thought about?
I have intensely. I have. Um, One thing that I find is, so the definition of what I'm pursuing to be is called like a creative designer or a creative director. It's a person
Mhm.
who takes on, specific projects and is called to do specific work in the creative realm for amount of period in different projects around the world. And that's kind of what I'm pursuing to be. And one thing I found from like the words of Virgil Abloh is like, it kind of contradicts the framework that other people kind of use. This framework that other people use is very like rational and very logical. And Virgil Abloh is just a really like irrational, rest in peace, but irrational person,
Mhm.
because he took on so much stuff. He was working on his own brand, Off White. He was making stuff for Nike at the same time, working on like other designer brands, doing stuff with Kanye West. And I take a lot of aspiration from that. I always find myself wanting to do more.
Yeah.
I always find myself saying there's never enough hours in the day. It's never about, oh, a lot of the things that I'm doing, they kind of like align themselves. So for example, like Never Eat Slimy Worms, I would love to use my YouTube channel to document the process of just starting a ghost brand, or having like a podcast like this, like just opening up, my life and stuff. So that's
Mhm.
a passion project in itself. And if that makes money or goes anywhere, God's will. It's not something that I really stress about, but I would love to put some in-depth work into it and really build it from the ground up.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting perspective
Yeah.
because you hear a lot of people say, you know, you should just do stick with one thing. Like
Right.
just go with one thing, stick with it. And like a lot of times for most people, that's just like, being a W-2, like just
Mhm.
getting a job, climbing the corporate ladder kind of
Right.
stuff. But it sounds like your advice is more if you love it, just do it.
I really like that. I think it's just to refine it. First off, I don't think this is for everyone. What I'm
Hmm.
saying is not for everyone at all. It's for a specific few amount of people who find themselves like, dude, I love doing everything. How do I focus things? How do I do it? I've taken on, a supportive role in other projects, even in the Princeton Review as like a campus ambassador. It's a supportive role in the Princeton Review where it feels as though, the work I do is valuable, meaningful. I spend roughly a few hours a week to do this work and I get paid for it. That's how I sustain myself. So
Hmm.
that's awesome. The branding agency, I'm also a supportive role there. I do, the marketing vision and put things together. I'm a creative director in that aspect too. That's awesome. Now I got these two other projects, and these are personal projects. They're not so much a supportive role as far as more of a let's push this thing, let's do it. Because why? Because I know it will help people. So it's not so much if you love it, do it. It's more so find what you love doing for others. Find what you love doing for others. Find what you naturally do for others and get good at it. Get good at it. And if it's just one thing, get good at that.
Yeah.
If it's wiping floors, be the best floor wipe. Like and I believe in God.
Hmm.
If God has made you a janitor for this portion of your life, you be the best janitor. You be the best janitor because that's how you find fulfillment in life. Everyone's looking for money. Everyone's looking for this, that, and the third, these material things. But really, let's be honest. And let me just be honest, open the door here. Rich people kill themselves. Rich people kill themselves. So obviously, the answer is not money. And we're talking about startup stories here. What provides you fulfillment? Why are you doing the things you're doing? Why does this brand matter so much to you? And why should it matter so much to others? And once you figure that out, that's the roots. That's how you make your brand, whatever you love and believe in. And there's two steps to that. There's why does it matter? There's the value of it, and then there's the expressing of the value. You got to get that down. That's what I'm learning right now through doing all these projects. How do you communicate why it's important for other people? You
Yeah.
know? So that's my biggest like draw, I guess you can say.
What advice would you give to someone in a similar situation or someone who's like starting a startup?
Okay. What I would give. I would say this. Mark down. This is one of the most important things. There's things to a business that every business needs. You need a mission statement. You know, what is it that you're doing? What is it that you're seeking to do for others?
Hmm.
And don't everyone comes with me mentality, especially in American capitalism, especially in the American economic climate we see ourselves. Take yourself out your shoes. Say, what is it that I'm doing? That's your mission statement. Why am I doing it? What's my purpose? That's your mission statement. You need a crispy mission statement where you can read it to someone and someone says, I get what you're doing. Read it to 10 people. If one person is like, wait, so what do you do again? You got to review that. Crispy mission statement. And these are things I got to work on for Never Eat Slimy Worms. We're in the starting stages.
Right.
Then write down your vision statement. Where do I want to go? What type of world, this is vision statement, what type of world do I want to create from my product? And then we get into the concept that I've been working on called a brand world, where it's less so much of a business and more so much of a way of life. We see the strongest brands go into this brand world. So, for example, we have Yeti. My friend loves Yeti.
Mm.
It loves what it represents. He resonates with it a whole bunch. And
So
that's
like a culture.
because, yeah, that's because it's been able to express this world so deeply.
Hmm.
He showed me this YouTube video. Not one Yeti product was in this YouTube video, but it was sponsored by Yeti. It was of this dude. He would catch his own food. He would fish and catch his own food and cook it. and he had one hand because he goes on adventures a lot and he lost his one hand. Cool ass
Oh
guy.
wow.
And he's with his friend cooking, and it's like a documentary style video, and it fills. You feel some right here. This is how you bring people from customers to fanatics to community to this is my favorite brand and here's why. I'm gonna send you a YouTube video where it doesn't even have a product in it. That's how you do it. So everyone is thinking me. Get out of your own shoes and say, what type of world do I want to show through this? What if Yeti was a world and your brand is kind of a window, your social media is a window to that world? What am I wanting to show? So that's the vision statement. So you need a mission statement, vision statement, and then you need core values. What does your brand believe in? So you want to do everything, every decision you make, you want to conduct your core values. Everyone's thinking about money, but you have to remember money is everywhere. And it might not be in your pockets and your wallet, but the only way we got cameras here, a camera right there, the only way we got mics, computers here is through money. People were paid to do things. Money is everywhere. It's the blood of society. Money is everywhere. So don't focus so deeply on the money aspect, even though money is extremely important. We need money to do all these things. Don't move by money. Move by your core values.
And the money will flow.
And the money will come. So those are the three things that I would say if you're starting a business or that, and you can do these three things, you can do that for yourself. You can write a mission statement for yourself. You can write a vision statement, which I did for yourself. And you can write core values for yourself. And I feel like every person on this earth, if they were to do that, we live in a better society.
What is the most valuable lesson you think you've learned so far from Never Eat Slimy Worms? Or just your personal YouTube channel, the journey that you've been on?
You know what I learned? And this is a recent thing. And it kind of contradicts the zealousness of my character, but I learned to chill out. I know, right? I'm on a podcast talking about business and startup stories, and I'm saying chill out. I really like Goggins' message. You know what Goggins represents. Sometimes Goggins is what gets me back in the gym and stop being super depressed or whatever. But there's a time for everything, and if you're not enjoying the luxuries that you've worked for, the luxuries that God has blessed you with, or the luxuries of your friends, if you're not enjoying that, what's the point of living? What's the point? I've learned that there is a separate function of things, and it's just to be enjoyed. Because I'm always like, all right, what's the purpose of this? What's the purpose? Why did God create this thing right here? Okay, it's so it could work with the ecosystem. I'm looking at a flower, a beautiful flower, and I'm saying, what's the purpose of that? I enjoy that. I go and smell it. I enjoy that smell. Enjoy the small things in life. Appreciate that, because when everything gets stripped from you and you realize, oh man, I thought I had control of my life, but I don't. And all you have is the small little things. That's when it hits different, and that's when you really see how blessed you are, is when you have nothing. So enjoy the small things and realize that sometimes you just need to watch a movie and chill out, You don't got to always be so, like, I call it, like, excuse my French, but a tight ass. You don't got to be a tight ass all the time. You can chill out and just enjoy things. That's the deepest lesson. I don't know how that ties into anything that we've talked about, but
dude, yeah.
What do you think about that?
Stuff,
what do you think about that? The enjoying thing aspect.
I mean, I think so. Have you ever read the book How to Win Friends and Influence People?
Yeah.
One of the main topics one of the main lessons that he teaches there is that in a selfish world, the one man who's willing to be selfless will get way further ahead.
Really? That's kind of similar to the conversation we were having earlier, right? With the dark triad thing. And it's like the one person who out of a world who's selfish. So it's like that dark triad thing that we were talking about, where it's essentially the dark triad. It's composed of like these three characters.
It's basically it's the most selfish personality that you can have.
Yeah. The three most. If you combine all that, you're getting like the things that you want in life, the material world,
the short term
pleasures of life.
At the expense.
But you're saying something very contradictory in a sense. Because I guess you look at these people, like for example, politics aside, Donald Trump, he's a character. He's a character that we can look at and learn a lot from. But Donald Trump, he has these personality, he has these traits, right? All right, let me not get political. Let me use someone else. If you want views, not a plan.
Let's just pull it back to the business.
Right? Okay. Let's go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. What are the bigger things that you see Never Eat
Slimy Worms?
Yeah, Never Eat Slimy Worms evolving into?
What are the bigger things? That's a good question. You know, it would be lovely to create a community of creators who really believe in this vision of like a new type of interaction with social media, that they are creating videos, not even for Never Eat Slimy Worms, but just inspiring them to create videos that really hit this inner child within and, you know, speak on like these deeper things. And I see Never Eat Slimy Worms becoming something where you can buy like cute little accessories and cute little things like that. And, you know, it's just a cute little community with people creating things and, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just enjoying type.
Yeah. I want to ask you one last question.
Go ahead.
Before we end it off. What's been like the most fun or most surprising part of this experience?
Of what? Which experience?
Just starting a business.
Right.
You know, learning, not
Learning
just starting a
skills.
business, but educating yourself on how to create business plans, learning about how the algorithm works, just your experience starting up a startup.
Right. What's the most exciting or surprising thing? I guess it would be one thing that really surprised me because, you know, I would consider myself as being like an artistic type of person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I started like making music and doing that, and that's really what got me into this stuff. But I guess one thing that I found really surprising was how much I enjoy business and how it brings me a sense of fulfillment to work with these brands. There's like a space that's valuable for me to express myself creatively in the whole, like, as this 30 minutes you saw, like this whole thing, and it's valued. And that kind of blew my mind. You know, I just recently got on LinkedIn and I've been hating, you know, like I can't lie, I hate the archetype of LinkedIn. Like, hey, let's connect, bro. Never talk to bro. You know, these connects are not connects, but
oh god,
it allows you, it really allows you just, I guess, to like have like a firm, I guess, to like separate, you know, your life a bit. You have this place where you present yourself professionally, you know, where you have this character and you say, hey, let's connect. It's a safe connection. You know, if you want to take it deeper and you form a relationship with that person, you can. You have
follow him on Instagram.
You follow him on Instagram. You see all the things that he's been hiding. But yeah. So I guess what really surprised me was this thing that I've been just putting off. You know, you talk to an artist, quote unquote, and you talk about LinkedIn. You talk about the corporate world. God, it's so demonized. And of course, there's parts in the corporate world that feel that way. But what really surprised me is that there's space for me.
Yeah.
And I would love to push people, you know, artists and things like that, and say, hey, you don't have to be the starving artist. You can actually work and collaborate with individuals, and there's a way how to, and I'll show you. And that would be cool.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming
Dude,
on the podcast.
Thank you. I really appreciate the invitation.
You know, I really liked because when you were talking about all the different kinds of things you were doing, you know, in my head, just my own bias was like that's a lot of different directions. And I love how you sort of systematize different things. Like you have the Princeton Review thing. That's your sustainability, you know, job that you do, right? You have the marketing agency. I honestly forgot what you classified that under. And then you classified Never Eat Slimy Worms as a sort of service-based, like give back to people, but also like passion kind of thing. And so you systemize things into like different areas, and it's sort of a balance between sort of not overextending your focus. If you break out things into different areas and you have one thing in different areas, I could like sort of I took a lot from like the way that you presented what you do. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was honestly like a pleasure to just talk about these projects like openly, because I've been keeping quiet, guys. I've been just working, like having my head down, just working. And it's such a pleasure just to be able to like, and whoever hears this, the hundreds and hundreds of people who are
Oh,
gonna hear this,
thousands,
the
the
thousands of
thousand,
people
the
who are
millions.
gonna hear this message. Like, I guess just one thing is, take it one day at a time. Look where you want to go. Ask yourself, where are we going? And just take it one day at a time and chill out. Because
Yeah.
everything's gonna be all right. Because everything has been being all right. Even though, you might be not in the best day of light. But yeah, it was awesome. Thank you so much, Aaron.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for coming on
Yeah,
the podcast.
thanks for listening, guys.
So
Make sure you like, subscribe. No. Go ahead.
Yeah, so real quick before we go, we're gonna head into the news section. Bobcat Bazaar every other Thursday. Guess what? That's tomorrow. Okay, come check it out. It's right outside the LBJ at the LBJ Mall. We have small student businesses coming out. They create little stands. Are you gonna be there?
I will pop out tomorrow just
Okay,
because
so,
you're gonna be on the
yeah.
podcast.
Hey.
When the podcast comes out, so next week for us.
No. This
When it comes
this
out.
one's
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead,
Yeah. So
Sounds good. I'll pop out.
tomorrow. Bobcat Bazaar. Student businesses come down. They create little booths. It's a cool thing. A bunch of different student businesses show up. Show out for your fellow Bobcats. Right. And if you're a student business owner yourself, come sign up. We're gonna drop Connor's. So Connor's the guy who runs Bobcat Bazaar. We're gonna drop the form to fill out for that down in the description below. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. Take care.